The body found inside the trunk of an abandoned Tesla registered to the singer David has been identified as 15-year-old Celeste Rivas.
September 8th, 2025. A routine complaint about a foul odor at a Hollywood tow yard would end the career of one of music's fastest rising stars and reveal one of the year's most disturbing criminal cases. When Los Angeles police opened the trunk of an abandoned Tesla registered to singer David, they discovered the decomposed remains of 15-year-old Celeste Rivas, a girl who had been missing for over a year. Within days, the 20-year-old artist who had millions of streams and a sold-out world tour would cancel everything, disappear from public view, and become the focus of a homicide investigation that has shocked the music industry. Today, we're breaking down everything we know about the David and Celeste Rivas case, from the initial discovery to the disturbing evidence that emerged online and the influences now weighing in. This is a comprehensive look at the facts, the timeline, the reactions, and the questions that remain unanswered. But first, let's establish who we're talking about and how we got here. David Anthony Burke, known professionally as d4vd, was living the ultimate Gen Z success story. At just 17, he exploded on TikTok with songs like Romantic Homicide and Here With Me, racking up millions of streams and transforming from a gaming content creator into a legitimate music star. By 2025, David had released his debut album Withered, performed at Coachella, and embarked on a world tour that was selling out venues across North America and Europe. With over 33 million monthly Spotify listeners and 3.8 million TikTok followers, he represented the new generation of artists who could build massive careers entirely through social media. His music resonated with young audiences through its blend of indie, R&B, and alt-pop sounds, often dealing with themes of love, heartbreak, and mental health. Songs like Romantic Homicide became viral sensations, and major brands like Crocs and Hollister had signed partnership deals with him. At 20 years old, David seemed to have it all: chart success, a devoted fan base, lucrative brand deals, and the kind of cultural influence that most artists spend decades trying to achieve. Then came September 8th, and everything changed forever. The discovery began with a complaint that could have come from any tow yard in America. Someone reported a foul smell coming from an abandoned vehicle. The Tesla had been sitting at Hollywood Tow for 2 days after being towed from the Hollywood Hills, where neighbors said it had been parked for weeks. When LAPD officers responded to investigate the odor, what they found in the front trunk, or frunk as Tesla owners call it, was a decomposed body inside a bag. The vehicle, with Texas license plates, was registered to David Anthony Burke. Initial reports were confusing. Police first said they were investigating it as a homicide, then walked back that statement, saying they were treating it as a death investigation pending medical examiner results. The victim's identity was unknown due to the advanced state of decomposition. For 9 days, speculation ran wild. Social media erupted with theories about who the victim might be and how they ended up in David's car. The singer continued his tour, performing shows in Minneapolis and Portland while saying nothing publicly about the investigation. But on September 17th, the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's Office made an identification that would transform this from a mysterious death into a case that horrified the public. The victim was 15-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. The identification was made through dental records and a distinctive tattoo on her right index finger that read, "Shh." But what made this revelation so shocking wasn't just that the victim was a child, was that she had been missing for over a year, and her case was about to reveal disturbing connections to the singer. Celeste Rivas disappeared from her home in Lake Elsinore, California on April 5, 2024. She was just 13 years old at the time. Lake Elsinore is about 70 miles southeast of Los Angeles, a small community where a missing teenager would normally be front-page news. Her family launched an extensive search effort, posting flyers throughout the area and organizing community searches. For more than a year, they campaigned tirelessly for information about their missing daughter, but no confirmed sightings emerged. According to her mother's statements to TMZ, Celeste had mentioned having a boyfriend named David. The family knew she had gotten a tattoo on her right index finger that said, "Shh," the same tattoo that would eventually help identify her remains. What makes Celeste's disappearance particularly troubling is how young she was when she went missing. At 13, she would have been especially vulnerable to predatory behavior. The fact that she remained missing for over a year suggests that whoever was involved had the means to keep her hidden from authorities and her family. The discovery of her body on September 8th came just one day after her 15th birthday, adding another layer of tragedy to an already heartbreaking case. But as investigators began looking into possible connections between Celeste and David, disturbing evidence began emerging from an unexpected source: the internet itself. The first major piece of evidence that connected David to Celeste was the matching tattoos. The medical examiner noted that Celeste had a tattoo on her right index finger. When social media users began examining photos of David, they found images showing him with what appeared to be an identical tattoo in the same location. This wasn't a common tattoo design that could be coincidental. The specific placement and text suggested a deliberate connection between the two, but the tattoo evidence was just the beginning. As news of Celeste's identification spread, social media users began digging through David's online history, particularly his Discord server and Twitch streams. What they found was deeply disturbing. Screenshots allegedly from David's Discord server appeared to show interactions between the singer and a user named Celeste, dating back to 2022. If authentic, these messages would mean that David was in contact with Celeste when she was just 11 years old. Even more troubling, Discord users claimed that by 2024, server members were openly discussing rumors that David and Celeste were in a relationship. Some alleged that Celeste had appeared on David's live streams, though she would have been underage during any such appearances. A particularly damaging piece of evidence emerged from a resurfaced livestream clip from January 2024. In the video, David can allegedly be heard instructing his moderators to delete all recordings and archived content after the stream ended.
Oh my, delete everything, delete everything, everything goes.
A stream that viewers claimed included an appearance by Celeste. While streamers sometimes delete archive content for copyright or privacy reasons, the specific instruction given on camera raised red flags for investigators and the public. These allegations painted a picture of a relationship that may have been ongoing for years, potentially starting when Celeste was a preteen. If true, it would represent a pattern of grooming behavior that escalated over time. However, it's crucial to note that the authenticity of some Discord screenshots has been questioned, and David has not been charged with any crimes related to these allegations. A person claiming to moderate David's Discord server attempted to distance the community from these allegations. In a message to server members, the moderator claimed they weren't aware of Celeste's true age, or that she was a missing person, believing her to be around 18 or 19 years old. The moderator also stated that most of the moderation team had left the server and no longer associated with David, writing, "We do not support his actions in any capacity." But this statement raised its own questions. If Celeste had been present on the Discord server since 2022, as alleged, then moderators would have been overseeing her interactions for years without questioning her age. As the reality of the case and the allegations against David spread, the influencer and music world began reacting publicly in real time. The first wave of responses came from social platforms, as celebrities, collaborators, and streamers who'd interacted with David started publicly distancing themselves from him. Kali Uchis, who was featured on a recent duet with David on his debut album, made it clear she was not friends with him, and announced she was actively working to remove their song Crashing from streaming services. When asked about their association, she wrote, "Not my friend. I did a song with him, which is currently in the process of being taken down, given today's disturbing news." She continued, calling out the unfair tendency to blame women for men's transgressions. "Women like her are the reason women always take the blame for the transgressions of men. Lol. The internalized misogyny of this world, I guess." Other musicians followed suit. Tyler, The Creator, Daniel Caesar, Ice Spice, and Addison Rae all unfollowed David on Instagram within days of the case breaking in the news. Within the streaming and pop culture world, the backlash was swift. The song Crashing was pulled from several editorial playlists, and Universal Music Group halted all official promotion for David's music. Within the streaming community, top Twitch stars also weighed in. Pokimane, who had previously appeared on streams with David, posted, "I'm as shocked and disturbed as everyone else finding this out. Hoping justice will be served soon. My thoughts, prayers are with the victim's family." Ludwig, another leading streamer, speculated about the disturbing closeness between David and Celeste, and noted, "This news of her death broke on her birthday, and he clearly knew her very intimately. Even if he did not have any hand in murdering her, That's psychopathic. He emphasized, though, that he would wait for police findings before drawing further conclusions. Among all the commentary, one streamer's reaction became infamous. Jason the Ween, who had often collaborated with David, initially defended his friend on stream, saying, "He didn't do it. He literally performed the next day. If he was a suspect, the police would have been after him." But as new evidence dropped and public opinion hardened, Jason would later retract his comments both on Twitch and on Instagram, clarifying that he and David were not friends but distant collaborators, explaining, "We had one song, one dinner, but we weren't really close." He called the developing case wicked and unbelievable, admitting the difficulty of processing the events and expressing that he does not condone David's actions in any way. It's a case study in how influencer allegiances fracture in real time during an unfolding scandal. Many streamers and social media friends who had been frequent collaborators with David, like Katse, also publicly unfollowed him, with brand deals including Fortnite and clothing sponsors severing ties. Even among Discord moderators, frantic explanations appeared as they tried to clarify their own lack of knowledge or involvement. As the evidence mounted and public pressure intensified, law enforcement moved quickly to expand their investigation. On September 18th, LAPD detectives executed a search warrant at the Hollywood Hills home where David had been staying. The property, which the singer didn't own but had been renting, was thoroughly searched by investigators. According to LAPD statements, detectives recovered several items of evidence, including computers and electronic devices that would be analyzed in the coming days. Law enforcement sources described the search as part of following up on several leads in the case. The timing of the search suggested that investigators had found enough evidence to convince a judge that the property might contain relevant materials. Search warrants require probable cause, meaning police had to present compelling reasons to believe evidence of a crime would be found. The search also coincided with David's complete withdrawal from public life. The singer, who had maintained an active social media presence and continued touring even after the body was discovered, suddenly went silent. His scheduled concert in Seattle on September 16th was the first to be cancelled. Soon after, his remaining US tour dates in San Francisco and Los Angeles were removed from venue websites. His planned performance at the Grammy Museum, which had been sold out, was also cancelled, but the cancellations didn't stop with the US dates. Multiple European tour stops that had been scheduled for later in 2025 were also removed from ticketing websites, suggesting that David or his management expected the investigation to continue for months. Major brands quickly distanced themselves from the singer. Crocs and Hollister suspended their partnerships with David, and his record label halted all promotional activities for his music. Perhaps most tellingly, a deluxe edition of his album Withered, that had been scheduled for release on September 19th, never appeared on streaming platforms. The complete shutdown of David's career and promotional activities suggested that his team expected serious charges to be filed, or that the evidence against him was too damaging for any continued public presence. Throughout this period, David himself has remained completely silent. His representatives have only issued one statement, saying that he is fully cooperating with the investigation. No other public comments have been made on his behalf. The investigation has also raised questions about David's management and inner circle. His manager, Josh Marshall, has faced criticism on social media from users who claim that, as David's manager, he would have had knowledge of the singer's activities and relationships. Marshall's company, Mogul Vision, reportedly managed David and held the lease on the Los Angeles rental property that was searched by police. Social media users have questioned why management would allow a missing child to be harbored by their client in a property they controlled. These allegations highlight broader questions about accountability in the music industry when artists engage in potentially criminal behavior. As of September 21st, 2025, the David and Celeste Rivas case remains active but largely shrouded in mystery. Here's where things currently stand. The Los Angeles Police Department continues to classify this as a death investigation rather than a homicide. No arrests have been made, and no suspects have been publicly named. However, legal experts note that this doesn't mean charges won't be filed. Investigators are likely waiting for crucial evidence before making any decisions. The medical examiner's office has still not released Celeste's cause of death or manner of death. This information is crucial because it will determine whether the case becomes a homicide investigation or remains classified as an undetermined death. The delay in this determination could be due to the advanced state of decomposition of Celeste's remains, which makes forensic analysis more difficult. It could also indicate that investigators are conducting additional tests to determine exactly how and when she died. David remains free and has not been charged with any crimes. His representatives continue to state that he is cooperating with the investigation, but he has made no public statements himself. The singer's career appears to be effectively over. All tour dates have been cancelled, brand partnerships have been suspended, and his music has largely disappeared from promotional platforms. Whether this is temporary or permanent likely depends on the outcome of the investigation. The electronic devices and other evidence collected during the search of the Hollywood Hills property are presumably being analysed by forensic experts. This process can take weeks or months, depending on the volume of data and the complexity of the analysis. For Celeste's family, the identification has brought the heartbreak of closure, but not the peace of knowing what happened to their daughter. They have established a GoFundMe to help with funeral expenses, describing themselves as heartbroken and devastated by the tragic loss. The case has also highlighted the potential dangers of online interactions between adult content creators and underage fans. While the allegations against David remain unproven, the case has sparked conversations about the responsibility of influencers and the platforms that host them. The most pressing questions that remain unanswered are fundamental to understanding what happened. How did Celeste die? The medical examiner's report will be crucial in determining whether this was a homicide, accident, or something else entirely. When did she die? Investigators believe Celeste had been deceased for a long time before her body was discovered, but the exact timeline could be crucial in establishing what happened during her final months. What is the extent of David's involvement? While the body was found in his car and evidence suggests possible prior contact, the nature and extent of his connection to Celeste's death remains unclear. Are there other victims? If allegations about grooming behavior are true, investigators will likely examine whether other underage fans were targeted. What evidence was found in the search? The items collected from the Hollywood Hills property could provide crucial answers about the relationship between David and Celeste. The case has also raised broader questions about the music industry's responsibility for monitoring the behavior of young artists with large underage fan bases. David's rapid rise to fame at such a young age placed him in a position of significant influence over teenage fans, a dynamic that can create dangerous power imbalances. Looking ahead, the next major development will likely be the medical examiner's report on Celeste's cause and manner of death. This determination could shift the entire trajectory of the investigation. If her death is ruled a homicide, we can expect to see more aggressive investigative tactics, possible arrests, and a much more intense focus on David's activities during the period when Celeste was missing. If the death is ruled accidental or undetermined, the case could still result in other charges related to the alleged relationship, but the stakes would be somewhat lower. The analysis of electronic evidence will also be crucial. In today's digital age, phones, computers, and social media accounts often contain comprehensive records of communications, locations, and activities that can provide investigators with detailed timelines and evidence of intent. For David, the damage to his career and reputation may already be irreversible, regardless of whether criminal charges are filed. The music industry is notoriously unforgiving of artists associated with scandals involving minors, and major labels and brands typically cut ties immediately to avoid association with such controversies. The case serves as a stark reminder of how quickly fame and fortune can disappear when serious allegations emerge. David went from being one of music's most promising young stars to a pariah in the span of just 2 weeks. The David and Celeste Rivas case represents one of 2025's most shocking falls from grace in the entertainment industry. A rising star whose career seemed limitless has been reduced to silence and isolation as investigators work to determine his connection to the death of a missing teenager. What makes this case particularly disturbing is the age of the victim and the allegations of a long-term inappropriate relationship. If true, these claims suggest a pattern of predatory behavior that exploited the power dynamic between a famous artist and his underage fans. The case also highlights the double-edged nature of social media fame. The same platforms that built David's career also preserved evidence of his alleged interactions with Celeste, creating a digital trail that investigators and the public could examine years later. As we wait for the medical examiner's report and the results of the electronic evidence analysis, one thing is certain: This case has already changed how we think about the responsibilities that come with online influence, especially when that influence extends to vulnerable young people. For Celeste Rivas, justice remains elusive. Her family deserves answers about what happened to their daughter and who is responsible for her death. The investigation continues, and hopefully, those answers will come soon. The David case serves as a cautionary tale about fame, power, and the protection of young people in the digital age. It reminds us that behind the carefully curated social media personas and viral hit songs, real lives hang in the balance. And sometimes, those lives are tragically cut short. If you found this comprehensive breakdown of the d4vd case informative, subscribe for more deep dives into the cases that shape our culture. We analyze the intersection of true crime and popular culture because understanding these stories helps us recognize warning signs and protect the most vulnerable members of our society.